Hey, everybody, back again. Just want to talk a little bit today about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that's breast cancer. Um, October, which is tomorrow's the first day, will be two things are going on in October. Is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and it's also another subject that I know talk a little bit about is domestic violence, which are two real big issues in our society and in the world for women. So the first thing I want to talk about is breast cancer because it's near and dear to my heart because I am a survivor. Let's see, I'm a little over 2 years out from breast cancer, so kudos to me. Yay, yay. I'm happy and thankful that I'm still here on this earth and I can talk about this. Um, but what I really want to talk about is just some facts and some stats that pertain to black women and how breast cancer affects the black women in the community more so or in a different way than it does the white population. So just so because I think it's important to be aware, and know something about this because women is hitting us black women like crazy. We don't want to lose people. We want to be, especially when there's a chance that you can learn something how to take better care and prepare and live longer. Actually, the whole point is to live longer. Okay, so having said that, one fact I found out is that the mortality rate that women die from cancer, breast cancer, is really it's just a shame how black women as a whole we fare somewhere around 40% mortality rate, which is pretty high, compared to white women. 40% of black women who get breast cancer will pass away from it, and that is the fact. We're the highest not only of white women but of any other ethnic group. Especially young black women are even more susceptible than people who are older. Young black women die faster and more often from breast cancer than any other ethnic group ever. Now, that's astounding. It's astounding. First of all, you think it's something only older women get, but the facts say no, young black women are getting it and they're dying from it. And it says women that are younger than 45, if women are young, they're the incidence of breast cancer is higher for the young women, the African American women, than anywhere else, than white women. So it's more likely if somebody under 45 will get it, a black woman will develop breast cancer before a white woman. And also, black women under the age of 35 who get breast cancer at a rate of 2 times more than the white women. Just 2 times faster. For every one white woman, there's 2 black women who get cancer. That's And then the question is, and also the ratio that white women and die from it is fewer than 3 times the rate that black women die from it. So these are just some facts. I mean, this is the facts. This is really what's going on. And so the question it leads to is, why is this? Why are black women dying? Why are we getting cancer and dying from breast cancer way faster and more often than white women? And why are younger black women getting cancer and dying faster? This is 2020. You think we've made some gains in that? Feels like we're going backwards. But there's some whys, and that's what's interesting. One reason is black women are not taking any kind of action. You don't do anything. Sometimes we don't do anything. We get something like that, and we sit on it, and we don't know what to do. We just don't do anything. You don't take no action. And 92% agree, 92% of women agree that breast cancer health is important. Breast health is important. It's important. But only 25% have recently discussed it with a family member. For that many people to know, to say, yep, it's important, but have I talked to anybody about it? Have I talked to my family members? If you're married, have you talked to your partner, your spouse, your husband? Have you talked to your kids about it? Have you talked to your doctor about it? The what do you call it? Possibility of getting breast cancer. So also another thing that happens is when black women are diagnosed, they're usually at a more advanced state. By the time they get diagnosed, they're already at an advanced stage before it's even detected. So by the time you get it, they're up to third or fourth stage of cancer, which the chances of surviving it go down because of the stage that it's diagnosed in. So we don't get to the doctor and get diagnosed soon enough, and that's a big issue. And another reason is because they don't have good insurance. Sometimes they may not follow up. If the doctor tells you, well, your mammogram looked a little suspicious, and we want you to have this next test or ultrasound or biopsy. Sometimes they don't follow up on these abnormal mammogram findings. Don't follow up because they don't have the money. And they can't afford to do all the testing that comes along with it. And trust me, people, there's some testing that comes along with the diagnosis. The other thing is black women may not have access to health care. I got my facts written down, folks, so I can tell y'all the truth. I don't want to just make up stuff. Black women may not have access to health insurance, so they may have lower frequency or longer intervals between mammograms. So that means you don't go as often, and you don't go as often, and you don't go as when you should go get a mammogram. We don't go follow up on it. Another reason black women don't get the same prompt, high quality treatment, isn't that interesting, that white women get. They don't get the high quality treatment that we get compared to white women. We don't get the good doctors. We get doctors with fewer resources and time and to put toward the patient, and they rush you in. Sometimes you don't get to really have a doctor that can sit down with you and discuss all your options. Another thing is black women have the highest odds, 2 times more likely, of getting triple negative breast cancer. And that's the kind of breast cancer that's often very aggressive, and it comes back after treatment. That's the kind that comes back. You go through all that, and that particular type of cancer could come back. And it has the highest mortality rate. This is the one we die from, ladies. This is the one that kills you. This is the one that kills you. It has the highest mortality rate, and it's the only breast cancer subtype that does not have a therapy to prevent reoccurrence. So most of the time, you get on a therapy or treatment plan with cancer, and they're looking for the future. So what kind of treatment can we give you, or therapy can we offer you to keep the cancer from coming back, aside from surgery and chemo? What plan can we use? And unfortunately, triple negative breast cancer, there is no therapy to prevent it from coming back. So that's why it has the highest mortality rate. So just, the other thing too is that it's just something to take note of. Younger women and women diagnosed at later stages are more likely to get the triple negative breast cancer. Isn't that interesting? So we don't get our mammograms on time. We don't follow up on them. And by the time we get diagnosed with a cancer, we're at the later stages. And also the younger women, I think they're 45 and under, are ones who are getting diagnosed late like this, and who are coming up with triple negative breast cancer when it's already reached a stage that's hardly survivable. That's a lot to think about. There's an organization here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was blessed to know about it and participate in it a little bit. But my surgeon, it's her organization. She's prominent here, but let me tell you a little bit about it. It's an Atlanta organization. It's in the forefront of the treatment of the battle against breast cancer. They're just men and women from all walks of life, from every social, economic, ethnic, or religious background. Just plain men and women who have chosen to come together and to fight a common enemy, and that never discriminates. This disease doesn't care who you are, who you think you are, how much money you got, how much you don't got. It doesn't care. Breast cancer can hit you. And the person who is the doctor that I'm talking about is my breast surgeon, Dr. Roxburgh Phillips. She's the person. She's dynamic. She's a dynamic. She's a prominent Atlanta-based breast surgeon. And as a matter of fact, she was my breast surgeon. So Sisters by Choice provides more than 1,000 free mammograms and breast exams to uninsured and unemployed, homeless women everywhere. Each year they do this. Each year over 1,000 mammograms and treatment and breast exams. So that's phenomenal. You know, they were trying to reach out and touch this community, especially people who don't have access. 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer. That's a staggering statistic. And thousands will not receive life-saving screenings and treatment. Thousands, because they either lack access to resources to receive quality care. And please consider donating to Sisters by Choice. It's something to really think about. It's a really good organization, and I know that it's helped me in many ways to fight this battle. So now let's talk about what are the symptoms of breast cancer? Because sometimes people say, well, I don't think, I did my little breast exam. I think I'm okay. I want you to know that I never even discovered my cancer, my lump, in a breast exam. I didn't. I think I had kind of hit and miss with the breast exams. I do it sometimes I don't. My life was very hectic at the time, so I don't think I was being very vigilant about self-exam. But one of the first symptoms that people talk about is a lump in the breast. Now, it may be a small and soft, or it might feel like a hard knot. It just depends. The tissue is sometimes a lump can't even be felt until cancer is already there. Sometimes you don't even feel the lump. And once the cancer develops, and sometimes you don't know until it's in the later stages, which happened to be my case. I was stage 3 by the time I even knew I had a cancer. So there you go. By the time you feel something, you think, what is that? Well, by the time I really even noticed it, I never did it. I discovered it on a mammogram, not on a breast self-exam. But sometimes when you're doing your self-exams, you may not feel the knot, or it may feel like a little small knot. But sometimes small growths can be that you can't feel. Sometimes you can't feel them, but they might show up on the mammogram. So that's why it's important to get the mammogram. And if you have a painless, hard mass in your breast, it feels irregular edges, it just feels weird, it's more likely to be cancer. The second thing we can look for is skin changes. Some people with breast cancer experience visible changes. You can just see it. You can look at it and see it. The breast may itch or tingle. The skin may begin to, it may have redness to it. Inflammatory breast cancer can cause swelling. That's something to think about. And it also can kind of equip kind of a look like an orange peel. That kind of texture, like an orange peel. Another thing to look for is swelling. Very interesting, people, swelling. Swelling, as the cancer progresses, swelling can indicate an issue. It can tell you that something's going on. The arm on each side, which happened to be on this side for me, the left side, but the arm on the side of the body, of the side that the cancer on, and the underarm might also swell. So you might get some swelling in the arm, you might get some swelling under the arm. It's things that I didn't know, but I want someone else to know that you can look for that and pay attention. The other thing that happens for some women, it didn't happen for me, but discharge from the nipple. I never had that, but any fluid that comes from the nipple, it could be yellow or white, or it can be quite liquidy, but or thick. It can have a thick consistency, but or it could be bloody and it could be bloody and painful. Going along with the leak, you could be some pain going along with the leak. But if you have a leakage from both breasts, it's more likely caused by a condition that's outside the breast, like a hormonal imbalance. But if you have a discharge in only one nipple, interesting enough, in only one nipple, that suggests a disease of the breast, like an infection or cancer. If you have one nipple, the next thing you might look at is breast pain. As the tumor inside the breast continues to grow, it places a lot of pressure on the breast tissue and the chest. So ulcers and skin abrasives can develop when the tumor reaches the surface of the skin, and the tumor reaches the surface and is spread into the ribs. Gets into the ribs. Cancer spread into the ribs can also cause severe pain. So that's something to look out. Here's an interesting one: insomnia. Can't sleep at night. Now, it's often related to the mental stressors of dealing with the health condition. If you know there's something going on with you, and you're not quite sure what, but you know something going on, and don't feel right. You have a mental stressor, and you can't sleep sometimes because you're worrying about the things that are you feeling in your body, the sensations, and not sure what it is, and that little thing in my chest I keep feeling. What is that? And this mental stressor is what that's called. And when you and the cancer, just cancer itself can affect your sleep. Your sleep wake cycle can be thrown off. People wake up in the middle of the night just wide awake. It can be thrown off, and it can interfere with you being able to get restful sleep. But another big symptom is fatigue. Ladies, I experienced the fatigue, and I mean not just slight tired, but this is a general lethargical, sluggish, and is one of the most common symptoms of breast cancer, fatigue. And that means that all stages, just the fatigue. It's your body fighting against the disease, and it can lead to persistent tiredness, and it don't get better. It's the kind of tiredness that you can sleep and you're still tired. So it don't get better with sleep. Like, I can be tired and I can go take a nap and I feel better, but this kind of tiredness don't go away with a nap. It don't go away with sleeping all night. You're tired all the time. That's what fatigue is, just an overabundance of tiredness, I call it. Then you might develop digestive problems. Interesting, breast cancer related to digestive problems. Well, any form of cancer can cause problems with diarrhea, vomiting, constipation, and upset stomach, because cancer interferes with your appetite and your food ability to absorb food. It interferes with that, and it causes malnutrition. That's why people lose weight. You get down, you can't eat. You have problems digesting food, constantly diarrhea. You just have problems. So something to think about, stomach issues. Another thing, shortness of breath. I experienced that. You can just out of breath, can't even make it. I had stairs to climb, and I would get to the top of those stairs and actually had to sit down until my heartbeat slowed down, until I could breathe normally again. And it would take sometimes anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes before I could feel better to get up and keep moving. So shortness of breath is a big issue, and it can occur due to the size and positioning of the tumor inside the breast or along the chest wall. It's pressing and it's wearing you down. So that's something to think about. This sure is getting on my nerves. Anyway, another thing, difficulty walking or sitting. Now, this is when it gets kind of gone. The cancer is spreading a little bit, and you may have that difficulty walking, or you may have a variety of other symptoms that are more and more noticeable to you. You start to really realize this, what's going on. I'm really, really feeling bad. Most people feel pain and discomfort in the bones, where cancer can easily spread to the bones. That's why one of the first tests they tell you is go ahead and get a bone density or a bone scan. So, having said all that, my advice to all my sisters out there, all my beautiful sisters out there, my black sisters in particular, but all my sisters, all races, is there's, I would say the one thing, the most important, get a mammogram. Get a mammogram. Do it on a regular basis. They used to say, I guess, every couple of years, get them one every year if you can. If you can do it every year, because a tumor can just pop up in there, and 1 year you have a clean breast mammogram, the next year there's something there, and if you skip a year, it then grew a year. So I think that's the gold standard for detecting breast cancer, is the mammogram. Right now, that's the best thing that you can do to detect breast. You can do a self-exam and all that, but the mammogram is the gold standard. This is where you go and really start. That's your starting point to discover whether or not you have a cancer. That's where you usually find a lump. If they do a good mammogram, they'll find a lump. And if you didn't know this, do you know that if you do a regular mammogram, they can find a tumor, a lump, 2 to 3 years before you've discovered, or even before your primary care doctor would discover it. They can find it on a mammogram 2 to 3 years before anybody can even feel it, you can even feel it. So remember this. There's 3 things I want you to remember. Just 3 little things I want you to remember. 1, that mammogram saves lives. They do save lives. 2, that mammograms are safe and effective. And 3, that your breast cancer risk increases with age as you get older. So one other point I want to talk about before I end this about the breast cancer is, what have you ever been told by your doctor or your mammogram person tech and say, you got dense breasts, you have dense breasts, and you say, oh, okay. I've been told that many times. You have dense. I said, okay, I have dense breasts. Didn't have a clue, folks. Didn't have a clue what dense breast meant. But okay, I got dense breasts, and what it means. What does it mean to have dense breasts when you've been told that? Um, One of the things I know, the doctors know that dense breast tissue make cancer screening more difficult. They can't screen as well, and it increases the risk of breast cancer. So that's one thing that dense breast can cause. Having dense breast tissue matters. It's important because it increases the chance that breast cancer may go undetected by a mammogram. Sometimes the mammogram cannot see that because of the denseness of the tissue. And it can mask a potential cancer. That density can mask it. And also it increases your risk of having breast cancer. So that's why it's important to know what that means to have a dense breast. So some tests that are effective, especially if you have dense breasts, you can have a 3D mammogram. They can look inside that tissue a little deeper. You can have a breast MRI. They can take a closer look. And you can have a breast ultrasound, but I had an ultrasound. And there's something, the MRI, that's that molecular breast imaging. So you can have all those things to detect whether you have a dense breast and have an issue with that, and makes you more susceptible to breast cancer. I hope I told you guys something that can help. I hope I told you something that maybe you didn't quite know before, or share some information with you from a personal view of how breast cancer hits us and how it affects us, and how sometimes you don't even know what's going on until you know what questions to ask, you know what to look for, and to be aware, and to also understand the importance of mammograms. You hear people say, oh, I gotta get my mammogram done. I ain't had one done for 3 years. Ladies, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. 3 years. I was told I had a 7, almost an 8 centimeter tumor, like this, about that long, about that wide. And on top of it was another little tumor. Now, I am a regular for breast mammograms. Didn't miss none. Moved from Seattle to here in Atlanta, and I may have missed a mammogram. I don't even think I did, but they said I missed 1 year. And next thing you know, I got breast cancer. Now, get this. I've been told I had dense breasts, but no one told me what it meant. So my surgeon tells me that, oh, you probably had that tumor 5 years or more. What? 5 years? I had this tumor 5 years? Well, your breasts are so dense they may not have discovered it on the prior mammograms. I've had mammograms. Nobody said I had anything going on. So those mammograms didn't detect it, because when I was told I had the dense breast, folks, I wish I had known to ask for something a little more. I could have asked for the breast MRI. I could have asked for the 3D, which I ended up getting a 3D mammogram, and an ultrasound. I could have dug deeper before it got to the point where it's at a stage 3, because at a stage 3, it could be worse. Lucky, or thanks to my God, I didn't. It was a third stage, but it didn't spread. It didn't spread. It was contained in one breast. It didn't go into the lymph nodes. It didn't go into any other parts of the body. And so I'm thankful for that. But I'm still in the race against time, because I haven't passed the point yet where I can be deemed cancer-free. I'm cancer-free, but the possibility of coming back is still there. So I have to be very vigilant. Follow up with scans, do everything I can, try to do self-exam. What happens for me, I'm scared to do a self-exam, because what if I feel something, I'm a panic, but I have to force myself. So what I do is I see my oncologist, I see my breast surgeon, I do my scans, and try to put my faith in God. My God is Jehovah. I put my faith in God and just hope and pray that I live to see another day. So I take life very, very precious. I don't take anything for granted. I do know that in the Bible, they talk about unforeseen circumstances befall us all. All that means is that you are, you're not exempt. It's a yet. You're not exempt. Where does it go? Anyway, you're not exempt. You can get it. And you don't have to be doing, some of the healthiest people. I know people, I wasn't no real lifestyle guru, but I know people who ate right, exercised right, did everything, didn't smoke, none of that, and they got cancer. So, not to say take good care of yourself, do all those things, but don't think that those are going to protect you necessarily. When it comes down to it. But being aware and being prepared and knowing what to ask and the kind of questions to ask and knowing what responses need to be made will help us to eliminate and cut down the incidence of breast cancer in the Black community. Having better access to health care, having better health insurance, having doctors who take the time to ask questions or listen to your concerns. Those are important. Being able to tell your doctor, I'm just worried about something, or at my age, I need to think about this. What do you think? And really kind of see if those tests are necessary. Be aware, be vigilant, be vigilant. We got enough to be vigilant with the pandemic. We already got enough vigilance going on, but you can never, ever, ever be too vigilant about your own health. Pay attention, ladies, pay attention. This is your body. You know it better than anybody. You know when something's off. And sometimes don't get so caught up in life that we see. That's what happened to me. I just got caught up doing so much, and I wasn't paying attention to my own self. And that's a sad thing to say, not paying attention to your own body, but be aware. Anyway, enough about breast cancer. I want to also quickly just talk about this is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and if you see something, if you're talking to someone, please let a person know that you're there for them. You can hear them. They're safe to share with you what's going on. Encourage them to get out, get help. And know that we're tired of seeing our people die, women die from violence. We're sick of seeing relationships where the man can't handle himself or his circumstances, and he takes it out on you and he beats you up. There's a thing called a cycle of abuse. Be aware of what that is. When someone treats you real well, and then all of a sudden, it builds up, and then next thing you know, there's an explosion, and then there's the violence, and then there's the honeymoon after, and he's sorry and he's remorseful and he'll never do it again, and then things go real smooth and real nice for a little while, and then boom, explosion, and it happens over and over and over, and sometimes, and more times than we want to think about, it leads to somebody dying. It leads to dying. And also, when people make statements, this is really gets to me. When people make statements like, she should have just got out. Why don't she just leave him? She must like it. Let me say something, people. You don't have a clue. It's not all that easy all the time. A lot of times women don't get out. They don't have any means, or they're dependent on that man so much for their livelihood, their kids, and they don't have anything. And they think, what am I going to do if I leave him? Where am I going to go? How am I going to take care of these kids? Where am I going to live? The law is not on your side with all that. I've known women to get evicted because of the violence in their home. I've known women who had their kids taken because they couldn't provide a safe environment because he's beating up on them. There's a lot of things going on, but be aware of your sister. If you're seeing bruises, or if you're seeing things, or you're seeing changes in her, and to ask those questions. Are you okay, sis? Is something happening in you? Is he treating you right? Just ask those questions, and then know that. Don't be so quick to tell a woman to jump up and leave. Help her to plan how to leave. Help her to create a safety plan. Something that, because I was going to say this real quickly. Do you know that the most dangerous time for a woman who's experiencing domestic violence is when she leaves or decides to leave him? That's when it escalates. That's when he knows he's lost control, and he'll do anything to gain that control back, even if it means take her life. So don't be so quick. Help her. If you want to say, sister, why don't you just leave? Let me help you make a plan so when you do leave, or in the meantime, to stay safe while you're in the situation. Because sometimes, you can't get out right away, but you got to stay safe while you're in it. So some things that I do is help people create safety plans around domestic violence. And what that means is that make sure that if the violence starts in the home, that you try to not be in rooms where there's weapons. Don't be in the kitchen where there's knives. Don't be in places where you can hit your head, like in the bathroom. Try to stay in the central part of the house and try to not escalate that or provoke it any more than it has to. Try to, maybe if it's really bad, have some signs with your neighbors that, hey, if you see my porch light go on, I'm in trouble, call 911. Or if this person's got a restraining order and he shows up, if you see my light on, that he's there and I'm in trouble. Let the school where your kids go, let them know that I'm having these issues and he can't come get the kids, that this thing, so the teachers give them a picture of him so they know what he looks like. The other thing, if the woman's planning to really get out, help her start planning. I say, sister, here's what I think you can do. Start squirreling away, get a trusted friend or a confidant and say, hey, I'm putting aside $10 a week. Here's a little money to put up for me. Here's a copy of me and all the kids, my driver's license and their birth certificates. Here's our social security numbers. Here's a change of clothes, 2 changes of clothing for me and the kids that want you to keep, some shoes, a jacket for each of us. Here's some important papers I need. My marriage license, all your documentation, get copies, and you keep those for me in a little duffel bag, and this money for me, because if I have to leave in the middle of the night, and I've seen it happen, I have to leave in the middle of the night, and then I had to leave with just the clothes on my back and my children. I don't have anything to start over. I don't have any credentials to try to get some aid or assistance. So if I can call up someone and say, girl, he hit me. I had to go. I'm out here. Can you come and get me? Can you bring that bag with all my... That way, I can go get some help. I can maybe get some food stamps. I can get into a shelter. I got some ID for the kids. I got a list of their medications. I got the doctor's names. All those things. Slowly, little by little, squirrel away that stuff. Make a copy. Every time you get a chance, make a copy. Get the immunization records, make a copy. Get the school records, make a copy. Social security cards, make a copy. Marriage license, make a copy. Birth certificates, make copies. Medications, make copies. Make copies of what they are. If you can get extra ones, get those and put them aside. Get some clothes. Squirrel away some clothes. They don't have to be fancy clothes. A couple pair of pants and jackets for the kids and shirts, sweater, extra pair of shoes. Then put in there so that if the kids have to leave in their night clothes, you got some clothes for them to put on. It's called a safety plan, planning for your and your children's safety. And anybody interested in that, I can help you with that. I have been the domestic violence advocate off and on for many, many years. I haven't done it lately, but I still know what I know, and I can help you. I don't. I'm not working in the field, but I'm always working against domestic violence. All of us need to be working against it. We never stop. Women, be on guard. Be vigilant for your sister. Know that, and be able to build a level of trust so she can talk to you about what's going on. And that way you can reach out and help. So anyway, that's my take on that. Those are 2 important issues I thought I wanted to talk about today. Was the breast cancer and the rate and the impact it's having on Black women. And I also wanted to talk about the incidence of domestic violence that's also very prevalent all over. It goes along with other things that need to be talked about, like sex trafficking and things that we'll talk about in the future. But today I want to touch on those 2 subjects. I think they're very, very worthy topics. I think that we need to really, really open our minds to this is what's going on with my sisters. And I need to know how I can be encouragement, support, and help to them instead of a hindrance by stigmatizing the situations that they're going through. So, anyway, people, that's all I want to say.